This is a very sad, tragic story coming out of Houston, Texas, and I warn you, it does discuss extreme child abuse. The story that was published by KWTX on yesterday is titled Houston Mother Boyfriend Charged in Murder of Malnourished 8-Year-Old. Houston police on Monday announced Soledad Mendoza, age 29, and Ruben Moreno, age 29, are now charged with capital murder in the death of a malnourished 8-year-old girl who weighed only 29 pounds at the time of her death. The girl died at about 7:45 p.m. on December 21st of 2020. Officers later responded to a welfare check at Memorial Hermann Memorial City Hospital. Houston Fire Department paramedics had transported the child to the hospital with multiple injuries and bruises, where she was pronounced deceased shortly after arrival. Further investigation determined the child showed signs of malnutrition, starvation, and multiple injuries, including chronic rib fractures. After a lengthy investigation, the child's mother, Mendoza, and Mendoza's boyfriend were charged for their role in the child's death. Mendoza and Moreno are being held at the Harris County Jail with a $1 million bond each. The documents that I'm about to read show that this family had had many encounters with the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services, also known as DFPS. And had action been taken, all of this could have been avoided. This baby would still be alive. This document is called the Child Fatality Report Release of Information to the Public. County of child's residence is Harris, which is Houston. Gender female, age 8 years, 8 months, date of death 12/21/20. On the date of the fatality, the child was not in DFPS conservatorship and was living with the child's parent, a managing conservator, a legal guardian, or other person entitled to the child's possession. Intake date 12/21/2020. Summary of allegations investigation. The department received a report notifying it of a fatal event after emergency medical services responded to a child choking and the father reporting she passed out and could not be revived. The child was intubated and transported to the hospital and passed away. The child's legs were covered in bruises and several other areas with abnormalities. The twin sibling could barely walk. However, the 7 and 12-year-old siblings appeared healthy but dirty. The department's investigation determined that the deceased child was transported to the hospital after a choking event and passed away. The child was found to be severely underweight and malnourished. The child was medically and physically neglected. The child had bruises, scars, and internal hemorrhaging on her back and legs. The child also had several fractured ribs. The twin was hospitalized and also found to be severely malnourished and dehydrated. There were pattern mark scars on the back of the twins' legs of unknown origin. The mother and her paramour made no admissions to abuse or neglect in the household. The 7 and 12-year-old surviving siblings made no disclosures. The 8-year-old surviving twin disclosed that she and the deceased child were locked in a closet all day with no food, placed in a trash bag, thrown on the floor, and kicked on the wall by her mother. She also reported being hit with a belt and a shoe everywhere on her body by the paramour after getting food to eat in the home. The department found that the deceased child and surviving twin sibling were in the care of mother and her paramour, when they received multiple injuries, were not properly fed, and did not receive medical care. The law enforcement investigation was pending at the time the department's investigation closed. The medical examiner conducted an autopsy. However, the final results were not available when the department's investigation closed. Investigation findings. The department confirmed allegations that the deceased child's mother and paramour committed medical neglect, physical neglect, neglectful supervision, and physical abuse of the deceased child, which led to the child's death. The mother and paramour did not seek and maintain proper medical care, causing the child to become severely malnourished and underweight. The child had multiple bruises, scars, and internal hemorrhaging on her back and legs, along with fractured ribs. The department confirmed allegations that the deceased child's mother and paramour committed medical neglect, physical neglect, neglectful supervision, and physical abuse of the deceased child's 8-year-old surviving sibling. The 8-year-old twin was severely malnourished and dehydrated. The twin sibling reported ongoing physical abuse and not being fed by the mother or paramour. The department did not confirm allegations that the deceased child's mother and paramour committed physical neglect and neglectful supervision of the deceased child's 7 and 12-year-old surviving siblings. Medical staff observed that the 7 and 12-year-old siblings appeared healthy and were well nourished. The 7 and 12-year-old siblings made no disclosures. The department did not confirm allegations that the deceased child's mother and paramour committed SA of the deceased child and her 7 and 8-year-old siblings. The child and surviving siblings were evaluated for SA, and there were no signs of assault at case closure. Safety and risk assessment factors identified. 12/22/2020 safety assessment initial unsafe. 12/22/2020 risk assessment very high. Safety and risk assessment factors identified. Case action removal subcare, services and referrals provided to the family, counseling and evaluation. Other services, the family was provided with grief counseling services. Other actions taken to mitigate risk. The department sought and was granted custody of the 4 surviving siblings, and all were placed in the same foster home. If one or more children were previously removed from the home for each conservatorship episode, summarize dates of conservatorship and type of placement at the end of conservatorship. Other previous report of abuse and neglect. Intake dates 8/26 of 2019. Summary of previous allegations investigation. The department received a report that the deceased child and her twin were born prematurely and have remained tiny all their lives. The children had a history of digging in the trash can for food. The child and her siblings were being denied access to breakfast and lunch by the school per the mother's request. The mother missed an appointment last week with the registered nurse who is working with the twins to ensure they are gaining weight. Well, that should have been a red flag there. The mother's telling the school not to feed them, and they didn't. The department's investigation determined the child and her twin sibling were not being allowed to eat breakfast at school, as they would have already eaten breakfast at home, according to the mother. The plan was due to the child and her twin sibling eating off the floor. The children reported they get enough food to eat at home, and their mother cooks. They did not disclose any abuse or neglect. The children were observed free of marks and bruises. The family-based safety services workers stated the children were doing well and there were no concerns. The children were being seen by the provider and they were improving. The mother reported the child and her sibling were over 30 pounds at their last appointment. She stated the child and sibling will be seeing a counselor to address why the child eats the way she does. Investigation findings. The department did not confirm allegations that the mother committed physical neglect of the deceased child and her siblings. The child did not disclose any abuse or neglect. Safety and risk assessment factors identified. Risk assessment 82919, safety assessment, initial safe, 10/10/2019, risk assessment high. Case action, it was closed. Services and referrals provided to the family. The family is participating in family preservation stage of service. Other services, there were none. Other actions take to mitigate risk. The family is receiving services through family-based safety services. Other previous report of abuse neglect. Intake date 12/16/2020. This is just a few days before the incident happened. Summary of previous allegations investigation. The department received a report that the deceased child showed up to a virtual learning with a black eye. The child's sibling bumped into her as she was asked about the black eye. It seemed like a subtle way of requesting the child not to speak. The child lowered her head in shame and refused to speak. The welfare check was completed at the family home, and the child's mother did not allow anyone near the child. The mother stated that the child had a fever and was being isolated. The explanation was not credible, as the two other siblings were around the child on the day of the reported fever. The mother claimed she has taken the child to the doctor for the fever. The department closed the case at intake. Investigation findings. The department closed the case without assignment. Safety and risk assessment factors identified. Risk assessment not required by policy for this investigation. Case action closed without assignment. Services and referrals provided to the family not applicable. Other services not applicable. Other actions take to mitigate risk not applicable. Here's another one. On 5/7/2019, summary of previous allegations investigation. The department received a report that the deceased child and her twin sibling were not being fed by their mother. The child had a history of eating out of the trash can and had begun eating out of the trash can again. The children appeared to be smaller than they were a year prior. The younger sibling was bigger than the child and her twin sibling. The older sibling scarfs his food during lunch. The department's investigation determined that the deceased child and her twin sibling denied that they eat from the trash can nor take other people's food. The older sibling reported that the twins do eat all their food and take other people's food. The mother reported that she had counseled the twins about their eating issues and she had not found a solution. Medical staff reported several medical tests were performed on the twins, and it was recommended that the twins be followed for concerns of physical neglect, and there were concerns for the mother's intelligence. A forensic assessment center network consultation was completed and the results showed concerns for malnutrition, starvation, failure to thrive, medical neglect, and physical neglect. Investigation findings. The department did not confirm the allegations that the mother committed physical neglect of the deceased child and her twin sibling. No disposition was applied to the allegations due to the case being completed in the Alternative Response Program. Safety and risk assessment factors identified. Risk assessment 5/10/2019, safety assessment initial safe. 7/3/2019, safety assessment reassessment safe with plan. 6/28/2019, risk assessment high. Case action, family preservation, family-based safety services. Services and referrals provided to the family. A list of food pantries was provided. Other services, the family accepted family-based services. Other actions taken to mitigate risk. A safety plan was completed with the mother to participate in family-based safety services and follow up on all medical care for the child and her twin sibling. The mother completed services in family-based safety services. She took the children to their doctor's appointments and all follow-up. Other previous abuse, report of abuse and neglect, intake date. This is on 10/1/2018. Summary of previous allegations, investigation. The department received a report that the deceased child and her twin sibling were born premature at 3 weeks gestation and developmentally delayed in receiving speech therapy in the home. The child was born with microcephaly. The child weighed 25 pounds in 2017 and did not appear to be gaining weight. The department's investigation determined that the mother stated that the deceased child and the twin sibling were eating 3 times a day and getting Pediasure 3 times, but the twins were still hiding food in their underwear. The mother reported she took the children to the hospital but did not get any results of why the twins have growth problems. The mother made medical appointments for the twins. The deceased child and her 3 siblings were observed and reported that they eat food all the time. The twins reported they did not know why they ate out of the trash can. The children were seen by a developmental specialist, speech therapist, and pediatrician, and no one reported concerns of the children being abused or neglected. Investigation findings. The department did not confirm the allegations that the mother, an unknown one, committed medical neglect and physical neglect of the deceased child and her twin sibling. No disposition was applied to the allegations due to the case being completed in the Alternative Response Program. Safety and risk assessment factors identified. Risk assessment 10/3/2018, safety assessment, initial safe with plan. 11/26/2018, safety assessment, reassessment is safe. 11/30/2018, risk assessment, moderate. Case action closed. Services completed. Services and referrals provided to the family, medical services, and car seat program. Other services not applicable. Other actions taken to mitigate risk. A safety plan was completed with the mother to ensure that the children attended all specialist and doctor's appointments and all follow-up care. Paternal grandmother is a safety monitor. Note, this report was prepared on 5/23/2022 and does not include corrections or updates, if any, that may be subsequently made to DFPS data or on or after the date the report was prepared. So this is disgusting. How could they, if this type of abuse was happening in the house, why was it allowed to continue? DFPS should have been able to identify this and taken action. But this is all that I have on this. This is tragic and it's disgusting. Y'all have a good day.